All right, I saw your post on Reddit where you were looking for some feedback on your posture. And I commend you for someone that's 2 months in to be thinking about this kind of stuff now, because it's best you get on the right track now rather than bake in some bad habits over the next couple of years and then you have to spend time undoing them. That's what happened to me. And so I totally understand where you're at and wanting to get it right from the beginning. So the first question you'd had about was around your wrist angle, and yes, I did notice a bit of a bow in your left wrist, whereas your right one was pretty good. And so if you sit at the right height, and you're going to have to play around with this a little bit, but you should be able to have that straightness and arms that are pretty much parallel to the floor. Now, as soon as I say that, of course, you'll see great pianists that are up like this. Glenn Gould sat down well below the keyboard and played like that. But for the rest of us, having those level arms, I think, is the way to go. So I'll work on that first. Second thing you had mentioned was about your flyaway pinkies. Very common problem. Again, something I'm working on all these years later. Flyaway pinkies are sometimes a symptom of tension in your hands. But I would say I would broaden it beyond the pinky for you. I noticed there was a lot of, I'm exaggerating, but if you look at your video, you'll see some of this where your fingers are actually getting up quite a bit off the keyboard. And so a couple of your posters, I think, or commenters had suggested that you keep your fingers closer to the keyboard when you're playing, and I absolutely agree with them. And the way that you want to think about that is an exercise that I would suggest that you think about with an oven mitt. Bear with me. So before I put the oven mitt on, I was noticing that some of your fingers were really coming up like that, and so it's very fingery playing. And I remember the first time a teacher told me that he said, "Oh, your playing is very fingery," and I thought, well, yeah, because that's how you play this instrument. It's meant to be played with your fingers. And so what she said, you first of all, you want to think about having your fingers close to the surface, because that's going to provide readiness to play. If your fingers are up here and they've got an inch or an inch and a half of distance to play, they're not going to be in position in time. You may wind up with unwanted accents. And so being on the keys is key. Now, no pun intended. Now, the oven mitt idea. What this does is this stops you from being fingery. But of course you can't play anything. So if I wanted to play something like that, I would actually have to rotate my wrist. Actually, not too bad for an oven mitt on. So the oven mitt prevents me from articulating with my fingers, but you can see I introduce the concept of wrist rotation. And this is something that you can start working on now, particularly with that Hanon that you illustrated in your video. So if I play with wrist rotation only, you'll know, I'm not sure how closely you can see this, but I'm actually getting all the notes without moving my fingers at all. So that would be 100% wrist rotation. If I lock my wrist and do it 100% fingers, I can also create the result. But I'm going to fatigue my arm. And so if the question is, all right, well then do I play with my wrist or do I play with my fingers? The answer is yes, a little bit of both. And so I could actually achieve a pretty good result. And if I apply it to the Hanon, and I wanted to play the Hanon a little bit faster, just a little bit of that subtle wrist rotation is going to make a big difference. So as you move on to more and more advanced repertoire where the pace is going to pick up, that wrist rotation is going to help. And there's not a lot. I'm not rocking back and forth like this because obviously I would be then getting my hands out of position. So it's a very subtle mixture of finger articulation and just that gentle wrist rotation. So let that come in and help you out. Last thing. One of the commenters had suggested to you that you play with the big muscles of your arms. And I think they may have made a bit of a typo, because I was quite surprised when I saw that. I've never heard anything like that. So I clicked through to that Hoffman Academy video that he linked you to. And in that, the presenter talks about arm weight, but not playing with arm muscles. Now, maybe what he said is you've got these big muscles in your arms here. And so if you, right now, my muscles are holding my hands up above the keyboard. And if I just relax them, then my hands fall with the weight of my arms into the keyboard. So that's the concept of arm weight. And Hoffman does a great job of explaining in that video, so I'm not going to repeat it here. But I think that's what he's getting at. So I don't want you to think that you're trying to play with your muscles. I think that's going to drive you to brute force playing. It's going to burn you out. You're going to have injuries, and you're going to play with tension. So those are the suggestions I would have for you. All the best, and I hope this helps.